and those of you that have been trying to find links and everything to get here, because this is worth it. I promise it's going to be worth your time. We're going to have a lot of fun together. I think money should be fun. I think business should be fun because I love business and I love money, and I think most of us do too. So really excited to get going. Let me just talk to you about what I'm planning to do today. So I said $5,000 in 1 hour. I still intend to do that with about 45 minutes. So I say find $4,000 in 40 minutes because I want to make sure I can at least under promise and over deliver, right? But definitely that's the main thing I want to do here today. Many people don't know this, but although I've been doing a lot of this for years, the things I've helped people do in finding and freeing up cash and having more money, making more money in your business, and having more cash on hand, my average client has found about $33,000 a year. And so, so as a result, I want to make sure I can at least get you a little bit to chew on and something that can really help you out and make a big difference for you. So you guys ready for this? Type in a response if you guys are ready to rock and roll here. All right, let's do it. No more ado. All right. So the first thing I want to start with is this, is that cash flow creates freedom. You know, cash flow creates freedom. And by the way, before I jump into this, I want to just give a few thanks. First of all, I want to thank Jen Fitzgerald for really encouraging me to do this for you guys. I'd done some things for her in the past, and now she's been really encouraging me to do this for over a month. And this is part of the reason why you guys actually got Wednesday as the date instead of today, because we were originally going to do this Wednesday, but she wanted to make sure you guys had plenty of time to register. And oh my goodness, have you guys ever? And so grateful to have you guys on as a result. It's fantastic. So and also I want to give a shout out to Wisdom Windows, because with the computer that I had just freeze up last night, it's good to be able to know I can come to a place like Wisdom Window and be able to use their facilities too. So great. So let's talk about cash flow. Cash flow creates freedom. So what do I mean by this? So what I want you to do is close your eyes. And remember, I'm watching with this webcam, so I can see you if you're not closing your eyes. So just kidding. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to picture your financial situation right now. I want you to think about the income coming in and the money that's going out. Now, let's just imagine that your income drops by about $1,000 or $2,000 a month. So you lost income. You've lost about $1,000 or $2,000 a month that you're getting paid less every month. How does that feel? What kind of conversations are coming up? You know, with your family, with your spouse or significant other? You know, what kind of things are going through your head right now? What kind of things do you have to stop doing that you love doing? And those emotions and those things that come up, I want you to type in those responses right now. I want to hear what you guys have to say. What are some of those things that come up? Panic attack. Absolutely, Candy. Panic. Wow, 2 panics. Total panic. Ugly. Yes. It's not pretty, is it? It's not a lot of fun, right? How many of you felt like almost like your own breathing felt restricted? You almost felt like you couldn't breathe as much, and you just felt yourself clench and tighten up. Did any of you guys experience that too? Yep, exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what happens when you don't have a lot of cash flow, or when you have negative cash flow, right? Okay, now erase that, wipe that clean, wipe that whiteboard clean, right? Okay, now close your eyes, go back to your current reality, which is much better than the reality I just gave you. So current reality. Now what I want you to picture is I want you to picture having an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month that you've got in income. So now your income went up by an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month from where you currently are. How does that feel? What kind of how were your conversations like with your significant other or your spouse or partner, or with your children? What kind of things are you starting to do now that you weren't doing before? How does that really feel? That's great. Vacation time. Yeah, type those in. Joy and sleep. Sleep, yes. How many of you lose sleep when you don't have cash flow? Relief. Absolutely. Relax. You know, so you did relax, right? Feels freeing, right? Exactly. This is the point of cash flow. If you've noticed, I didn't say put $1 million into your savings account, right? I didn't say that. You don't need $1 million to feel financially free. Remember this, is that financial freedom is not a state of your purse or your pocketbook. It's a state of your mind and being. It's how you show up. It's who you are. It's how you feel. It has nothing to do with how much money you have. I can't tell you how many broke millionaires I've met and I've even worked with where they're just completely broke. They have all the money, but they're broke right here. They feel broke. They don't feel like they have that freedom. They don't feel like they can ever save enough money and those kind of things. We don't want to be there. Whatever anybody's told you about money and having to have millions of dollars is a bunch of bull. You don't even have to be debt free to feel financially free, and we'll talk about that too. It's all about the cash flow. How much more money is coming in than what's going out? When you have way more money coming in than what's going out, you feel so much better, do you not? So we want income here, and we want expenses and what you're spending down here. When it's like this, boo, this, yay, boo, yay, boo, yay. Got it? And so, by the way, is it okay if I have a little bit of fun when we talk about money? Because people make money way too serious and way too boring. Are you guys okay with that? Awesome. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about this more. Let's dig in more. So less cash flow creates more worry, right? We've definitely felt that, haven't we? We don't want to be in a place where there's less cash flow. I'll tell you, my worst time in my life, it was actually after I was able to retire. I decided to change some things up with my finances and did a lot of real estate investing and whatnot, and I felt the power of the Great Recession, right? I had some real estate that all of a sudden was now upside down. I had my business, which was focusing towards real estate investors. So when they couldn't pay me, I didn't get paid. My real estate wasn't paying me. In fact, I couldn't get any money out of my real estate, even though I put a lot of my savings into the equity of my real estate. And the next thing I know, between business and real estate and everything, I was in the hole $16,000 a month. I went from millionaire to upside down millionaire, right? And in fact, I was in about about $1 million in debt. And so with the tips I'm going to tell you today, the things that actually help you free up this money, these are things I learned from hard experience. These are the very things that actually got me out of that $16,000 a month hole where I was making $5,000 or $6,000 a month, but spending $21,000 or $22,000 a month to be able to get that reversed and then be able to pay off over $900,000 of debt in just 3 years. And man, I'll tell you, it's not just that's awesome, but like I mentioned before, my average client has found on average $33,000 in their first year alone. Much of that ongoing year after year. So maybe we'll still have ongoing 20 or 30,000 more a year. And some of them even more than that because they keep applying it and keep getting better and better. And so here's the good thing is that I can pretty much guarantee almost nobody on this has been in a worse financial position than me. So the good news is I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to point the finger of scorn at you and tell you you should just live off rice and beans the rest of your life. I don't do that. I actually believe that you should live off more than rice and beans. In fact, the name of my ebook on my website, moneyripples.com, is called Beyond Rice and Beans, 7 Secrets to Free Up Cash Today. And I do that because, hey, I want you to live off more. I want you to actually live and enjoy life. I don't think life is meant to be cheap. It's not meant to be hard or it's meant to be just broke, right? I mean, we don't want to live that kind of lifestyle. Personally, I got into business, and I've been in business for over 12 years now. I got into business because I wanted 2 things especially, control and freedom. I didn't want somebody else to tell me how much money I could make. I wanted to make sure that the sky was the limit when it came to money I made. And on top of that, I wanted to do what I love to do, and even better, to do what I love that others love me doing. And that's where it's so rewarding. That's where it becomes more about lifestyle and quality of life, not about being cheap and getting that job delivering pizzas. This is not about that at all. This is all about living a better quality of life. Are you guys okay with that? Type in if you are. Just make sure you're still awake. Heck yes. All right. Love it. So the first thing you have to understand as we really get into this, before I really dig deep into strategies, we got to understand that there's principles first, strategies second. Principles come first, strategies come second. So I want you to look at this picture right now. And I want you to tell me what you see. Type in, what do you see here? What is he standing on right now? What do you see around him? Or her? I can't really tell actually. It's kind of a small picture. Could be a her actually. What do you see there? Does it look almost like they're standing right over a big cliff? Or maybe it's not even a cliff. Maybe it's just a lake. You guys see that? And you see the lake, right? And you see the reflection of the trees in that lake, right? Here's the thing. I want everybody to tilt your head to the right. Well, for you on the camera, tilt your head this way to the right and look at it now. So you're seeing her laying on her back. Now what do you see? So look at her where she's laying on her back now. And look around. What do you see now? Trees and sky. You got it, Donna. Congratulations. You get a brownie button or something. I don't know. Exactly. You see that trees and sky now? See that little shift in perspective? Just a little shift. And all of a sudden you went from seeing something that you thought was real to something that was completely different than what you thought it was. Funny thing is, I didn't actually see a lake the first time. I actually thought it was a cliff. I thought she was standing over a cliff. That was one of those big things, a fear factor type of photos. And but in reality, what you got is you see that just a little shift of perspective, just turning that head a little bit to the side, you now see a whole different world, don't you? And that's the key, is that you have to understand that the way you see money and the way you see your business and everything, especially if you're in direct sales or network marketing or in businesses like that, if you're a small business owner like I am, you see a lot of these things, it's all just a shift in perspective. You shift that perspective and everything else changes. Money actually becomes fun, not a bad thing. Money becomes exciting. Money becomes something that's abundant, not scarce. And so there's really three different perspectives here when it comes to how people see money. The two most common are either a spender or a saver. You got these two, right? So spenders, what do spenders do really, really well? What do they do over here? Type in, what do spenders do really well? Exactly, Candy, Sonia, and Jerush and Donna, exactly. They spend, right? They spend. That's what they do best. Spenders spend money. How many of you would think that you're actually a spender, where you actually, if you were given extra money, you want to use it right away, to use it for something fun or enjoyable? Buy things, yes, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of us, right? I would say about, some people will say more. I actually believe it's about half of people are spenders. There are about half of those people out there. Now, if you're on the far extreme on this side, on the spender side, you've got the gamblers. These are people that spend money, they say they invest, but they really just throw it away. So spending, it happens for different reasons. It's rooted in scarcity. And the reason why this is a curve is because all the money is in the middle, not in the outside. And so the spender being on the left-hand side here, spender is saying, hey, I'm spending my money, I don't really have it. I have to keep making more money to make it work, right? And so they tend to spend money, they tend to let it go. Not like the Frozen song, Let It Go. And please don't sing it for me, it's horrible. I have 5 children, and man, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that song. So people that are spenders, they tend to let it go, right? They tend to just spend it. They tend to spend it for different reasons. Either one, they might spend it because they'll say, you know what, if I don't spend on something that I like, it's going to get spent on something that I don't like, right? You ever notice that it seems like it's easy come, easy go? So spenders tend to have that philosophy. Or it might be something like, maybe you had a parent or a spouse that's an extreme saver. They hoard money, right? And they did that so much that as a kid you lost those memories. You said, I'll never do that to my family. And so you choose the opposite, right? You go the other end of the extreme. And so that's what a spender tends to do. Savers, obviously, what do savers do really well? They save, right? They save money. Now, I said on the far extreme here, savers will even hoard money. They'll hoard it. They'll have the iron grasp. These are the people I mentioned that are broke millionaires. They have millions of dollars, but they don't have a lot. Now, I've met people in network marketing and direct sales where they make a lot of money, but they also spend it. And so when they decide to switch companies or a company goes under or something like that, they're left completely broke, and all that money they made and all the grand, the great recognition they got for all the money they made, really they had nothing to show for it. And so we don't want to be on the spender side, but we don't want to be on the saver hoarder side either, where you just save and hoard it. It's like, for those of you who remember the cartoon DuckTales, Scrooge McDuck, right? He would swim in his gold coins and everything in his big bank vault. We're not talking about hoarding money like that. My father is a big hoarder. I mean, in fact, he hoards so much. I mean, he hoards food. He hoards washers and dryers that sit in his garage, so much so that he has to park his car outside of our garage for the last 25, 30 years, really. Ever since I was a kid. I barely remember the garage door existing on our garage. That's how bad it was. In fact, he hoards stuffed animals. Believe it or not. You ever seen those crane machines at Walmart where they pick up toys, and they drop them in, right? They drop those toys, in the little holes, so you're trying to win the prizes. My dad is the master of the crane machine. So much so he has thousands and thousands of stuffed animals at his house. You go in his basement. It's about 1,500 square feet, very long basement. You see aisles, like not even aisles. You have one little aisle that you walk down. If you stagger to the right or to the left a little bit, you'll actually knock down toys. They'll fall on top of you like it's the produce aisle. It's crazy. So insane. Anyways, so that we don't want to be hoarding money either. You will never be financially free as a hoarder, just like you won't be as a spender. But in the middle, right here on that middle path is the steward. A steward takes the best of the spender and the best of the saver and puts them into one person. Because I'll tell you, the great thing about a saver is at least they're willing to think about it. They're willing to be wise with their money. They're not willing just to blow it, right? But on the flip side, if the saver would be willing to be more like the spender and be willing to use money in a productive way, a money that will come back more abundantly, now you have a steward, especially a wise steward. You know, I think about like there's the tale in the Bible. If you remember the Bible, there's the parable of the talents. There's 3 servants. One servant was given 5 talents or sums of money, right? Another one was given 2 talents from their master, and then the last one was given 1. Now, after a certain amount of time, they all come back from that time of reckoning. They come back to report to their master to see what they did with their money. The one with 5, if you remember, comes back with 5 more for a total of 10. When he comes back, the master says, well done, thou good and faithful servant. I made you a ruler over a few things. Now I'll make you a ruler over many. Come to my kingdom and have everything I have. So he gets a great reward. The one with 2, he comes back with 2 more. And he has a total of 4. He gets the same exact reward as the person that had 5. No difference. Same exact reward. He came back and he says, well done, thou good and faithful servant. I made you responsible for a few things. Now I'll make you a ruler over many. But the person with 1, came back. He was the saver, right? He was the hoarder. He was afraid of losing that money. He said, you know, I knew you were a hard man. I know you reap where you don't sow. And so I didn't want to lose it, so I buried it. I brought it back, so I paid you your back. I paid off my debt. I'm debt-free to you. Are you happy? And the master said, get out, right? He basically said, hey, that's not what I asked you to do. You knew what I required of you. You didn't do it. Get out of here. And he gave the 1 to the guy that made 10. And there's a big lesson here, because if you think about it from that perspective, you know, the person that had that saver mentality, you know, was scared. He didn't want to lose it, so he did nothing with it. Now, there should be a 4th person, maybe. You know, you could argue that. Maybe a Joe that went out. He was given 3, and he came back with none, right? And he blew it all. So he was the spender, right? But it's a great lesson, because if you realize that money is meant to be used, it's meant to be used in a way to serve people, and that the more you use it to serve people, the more it comes back to you as well. You'll find out that when you're a better steward of your money, it keeps coming back and it keeps working. And I'm teaching you this right now before I get into these strategies, because if you don't understand this principle, anything I teach you, if you have that spender mentality, you'll mess it up. If you have the saver or the hoarder mentality, you'll mess that up too. And so we want to make sure we get in that middle path of that stewardship. The great thing is this, is that if you're in business, which I imagine many of you, if not all of you, are in business at least part-time, you realize that being a great steward is the key and the magic to be able to make your business successful. Many of you, I'm sure, have already seen that. How many of you have actually already seen that? Type in a response and say, yes, I've seen that true in my business. When I'm a good steward, I make more money. Everything grows and expands. Who's noticed that? Carly said, totally. Beth said, yes. Donna, absolutely. So far, this is pretty agreeable, right? This is pretty common sense. Isn't it crazy, though, that everybody we listen to in the media is not teaching us this common sense? Isn't that funny? I mean, think about it. One, we'll never see a spender in the media, right? We'll never see somebody that says, blow it, and that's the financial advice you're given, right? It'd be fun, but it wouldn't be reality. On the flip side, you get all the people that are the savers, right? You get the Dave Ramseys and Susie Ormans and people like that. They're telling you, they're pointing the finger of scorn at you, telling you, hey, you need to shape up. You stink. You're not good enough. You stink with your money. And even though I gave you advice 10 years ago that contradicts what I say today, you should just keep doing what I say, even if I change my mind, because I'm smarter than you are. Isn't that kind of what it's like? How many of you have noticed that it kind of feels like that when you hear financial people talk to you about money? Yep, exactly. And that's the problem. You know, like I said, I can't judge you because you probably haven't been in a worse situation than I have been financially. I've been in a pretty bad situation, and I know what it's like to be in a bad one, and I also know what it's like to be in a good one, and I much prefer the good one. And I'll tell you, it's way better. And again, it comes down to this cash flow. Cash flow to a steward is everything. They don't worry about just accumulating money. but try to figure out how can I take this money and make it work better. That is the key. So let's get into some of these tips here because I want to make sure you get some good value here. Okay? So number one, the first step to being a great steward is you got to learn to track your money. Now it's funny because a lot of people say, I track my money. I look at my checking account, or I have a budget, which, by the way, I hate the word budget in general. I like a spending plan. I like to have freedom with it. I like to know that I can not feel like I'm restricted. I like to be responsible but not restricted. Big difference, right? And so when we come to tracking money, we want to make sure we know what's coming in and what's going out each month. Yeah. We want this to work well for us, right? We want this to work the right way. So what's coming in and what's going out. One of the greatest tools you use for your personal money, your personal numbers, is to use a company called mint.com. There's a few great reasons I love this. First off, Mint is free. I love free. Secondly, is that I'm ambitiously lazy. What I mean by that, ambitiously lazy means I like to work hard, play hard. How many of you are work hard, play hard kind of people as well? I love work hard, play hard. I like to get my work done as fast as possible. I like shortcuts, right? Me. Exactly, right? I want to get things done. I love systems. I love tools that make my time shorter because money, I've already proven this. I can lose it and make it back again. But you can never get back time. Time is such an invaluable asset that you do not want to lose. And so when it comes to time, I want to have as much of it as possible. Mint allows me to do that. Because no more of the stuff of writing, in your back of your checkbook and the check register, trying to write and balance your budget and all that kind of stuff. You guys remember doing that? I remember that was how we learned before the internet, right? You had to write all these things out, and it was just annoying, and I hated it. I like to be able to be the person that has it. Yes, tedious, right? It just feels like you're a slave to your money. But with Mint, here's what I do. I love that everything, all my numbers, all my finances, checking accounts, savings accounts, loans, credit cards, everything can be in one place. I can see it on one page, see everything real time. I don't have to log out, log in to different websites. It's all there. And the cool thing is, too, is that I can actually have that download all the transactions. So instead of me having to do my own math and take out the calculator and say, oh, shoot, I just got lost in my numbers. Okay, delete, start over again, and you spend hours going over your numbers, especially if you're looking at tax time, which I'm sure many of you have lost time doing that. You don't have to do that with Mint. You actually can categorize it there, and the cool thing is when you categorize it, if it doesn't already get it right in the first place, once you categorize it, it remembers it. So if you go to Chevron to gas up, Arco, or BP, or wherever you go to gas up, it'll usually say gasoline. And the cool thing is, in your little column that has a gasoline thing, it tallies that all up every month or year. You can run all kinds of things to do it that way. So it does it all for you. And here's the crazy thing. I actually like to do this once per week. In fact, I recommend that couples get together once per week to at least discuss this. I timed myself on updating Mint for 1 week's worth of expenses with my personal life. Not my business. I'll talk about that in a second. But my personal life. And I timed it. And with a slow internet connection, I was going a little bit slow that day. And this is logging in and logging out. It took me 4 minutes and 17 seconds to update a whole week's worth of numbers. 4 minutes. How many of you would love to have rock hard abs working out only 4 minutes a week? How many of you would love that? Yeah, aka opposite of tedious, right? I mean, wouldn't 4 minute abs and being in shape 4 minutes a week, wouldn't that be a miracle? You would be a billionaire if you had that kind of product, right? I mean, if you could get physically fit in just 4 minutes a week, why couldn't you get financially fit in 4 minutes a week as well? And so this is where I recommend, like, getting those numbers there, keeping track of it. When you keep track of something, there's what's called the law of attention. Whatever you put your attention towards expands and grows. The opposite is also true. Whatever you ignore will leave you. So think about it this way. When you think about your family, if you ignore your spouse, are they going to stay with you? No, of course not, right? If you ignore your children, will they want to be with you? No. If you ignore your health, will your health remain with you? Of course not. What do you think will happen with your money? If you ignore your money, it will leave you too. The crazy thing is when people tell me, they're like, hey, Chris, when I get a lot of clients that come in, they'll say, Chris, I'm just too busy to do this. I can guarantee if they say that to me, they're losing at least $500 to $1,000 a month. This one area alone could be where you're losing at least $5,000 in a year, if not more. And like I said, my whole goal is here to help you find that $5,000 within the next year, right? And if you can find it in 1 month, even better, but at least in the next year. For most of you, or many of you, it probably will be because you're not tracking your money right. Whatever you ignore will leave you. When you don't track it, this is what it feels like. Who's ever felt like here on this webinar that you've made more money, but you don't feel like you have any more? Who's ever felt that way before? Who's ever felt like I made more money, or I paid off a loan, but pretty soon I don't feel any better off because it's just consumed. It's part of my daily life now. That is called Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law says that when you have income, your expenses will rise to meet that income. So what we try to do is we try to capture that. So when you have your expenses here, we capture the difference, put that in the savings or whatever it has to be. Just get it, get in the habit of spending that money, but make sure you capture it, right? You keep it. That's the big key. And so when you ignore it, that's the case. The busiest entrepreneurs I've ever met lose the most money here. In fact, I had a couple from Silicon Valley, California. They were making $250,000 a year and drowning. They were actually running up more and more credit cards. When it took her a month and a half to even get me her 1 month of numbers. It took her that long because, again, she was too busy. When we looked at it, get this. In her eating out expenses alone, $5,600 a month. $5,600 a month. And I was like, wow, are you like, wowza, exactly, Candy. I was like, what are you doing? Are you eating lobster for breakfast? And she had that nervous chuckle. You know that chuckle that we all make when we know it's a little too close to home? So she made that nervous chuckle. She said, actually, pretty close. I said, all right, how do you even eat that much? I don't know, it's California. But obviously she was eating pretty well. And I said, okay, let's cut this down to only $1,000 a month. And let's start planning your meals a little bit more. And by the way, they're spending over $1,000 a month on groceries. They only had 2 teenage girls and a live-in boyfriend that one of the girls had. So we said, let's cut this bit down. They cut down to $1,000 a month. That's $4,600 a month. Plus, we got groceries under control. We found tax savings. We found all kinds of stuff. Health insurance that we could get premiums lower. By the time all was said and done, we found $70,000 a year. $70,000. Do you think, even for, OMG, that's right. I mean, do you think for $70,000, I mean, don't you think, even for someone that makes $250,000 a year, would that make a big difference? Yes, of course, right? What's amazing is the reason that she kept working, they worked an insane amount of hours, is because they felt like they couldn't afford to do it. Freeing up $70,000 a year, what do you think that did for their peace of mind? They actually started to slow down. She started to breathe in between sentences. That was big. And it's not always that extreme. I mean, that's pretty extreme. Sometimes it's less extreme. A lot of people find $1,000 to $1,500 a month. I've found that with several people just here in Utah alone. The biggest scenario I found was somebody doing this in their business, started analyzing what was happening. This guy with his dental practice found over $10,000 a month in his practice alone, not including what we found at home. We found like $5,000 or $6,000 a month at home. So I mean, he was elated that we found in total like $18,000 a month. I mean, just insane. Again, that's not typical, but I mean that was pretty extreme. So tracking your money is everything. Now, I mentioned business. Business is separate. You want to do that in a different place. And so when you have different accounts, and especially if you're doing your taxes and accounting, do that in a place like QuickBooks. QuickBooks has a great online tool. I spend $13 a month to use QuickBooks. Some accountants don't like it, and that's fine too, but it does the same thing as Mint. In fact, they're owned by the same company. So they use very similar. Mint is a little bit more colorful. I love Mint for that reason because it does have colorful stuff. It's easy to use. I like big buttons. Just kind of the way I am, right? Using QuickBooks, not as exciting, not as sexy, but neither are accountants. Accountants aren't sexy either. So there you go, right? So QuickBooks, great for business. Personal, use Mint. All right, moving on. Sell assets. Selling assets is a big one. It's funny, people have heard me time and time again. This is probably the last one they come to. Now, this is not selling assets like like I saw an article. Somebody was advertising on an online advertising site saying, Dave Ramsey is making me sell my amp, meaning his speaker, right? And, speaker he had for his guitar. He already sold off his electric guitar doing the Dave Ramsey program. Now he's selling off his amp saying, hey, Dave Ramsey told me to sell it, so I'm selling it so I can pay down a credit card and free up $2 of interest. So anyways, I'm not telling you to do that. Here's my big thing about stewardship is that stewards, they'll keep what they use. Whatever they don't use, they get rid of. So if you're not going to use it, lose it. right? If you're not going to use it, lose it. That can either mean sell it, it can mean donate it and get a write-off on your taxes. It could just mean give it away. I mean, have you ever noticed when you do some spring cleaning or you kind of declutter your life, have you ever noticed that new, better things come in your life? Who's ever noticed that before? Go ahead and type that in if you've noticed that before, if that's been true for you too, where when you start to declutter and you get rid of things, you either sell them off or give them away, new things come in. You actually create new space, right? Always. Exactly, Sonia. Yes, you got to make room. And so I'll tell you, I actually had somebody just recently, they said, you know what? We actually did what you said. We not only sold off stuff and made several $100s, but we were able to finally get rid of our storage unit, which we were paying over $100 a month on, and that freed up money there too. And so for them, I mean, in total, they probably just that year alone doing this one thing, they made a few $1,000s. I've actually done this before. My wife and I, we said, you know what? We've got too much furniture. We got too much stuff. We were putting in storage, put in the garage, and we'd sell these things off. And one summer we did make a few grand just selling things off and just decluttering. The great thing is, it's not just to declutter, it's not just to sell and get money, but it's what can you do with that money today that you can use better, that's in a better situation. You know, for example, I get some people with extra vehicles, or maybe they have ATVs that they never use. I had one person that had a cabin that they only use a few weeks out of the year. I said, well, what are you paying for this? They said, oh, well, my mortgage payments are about $14,000 a year. It's like $1,200 a month. Well, I said, well, what would it cost you to rent a cabin for a week? Maybe about $1,000 a week. Okay, so you're going 2 weeks a year. Why not just rent a cabin for 2 weeks out of the year? That's $2,000. Save yourself the other $11,000 or $12,000, and there you go. And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. And so if you're not going to use it, again, get rid of it. Or if you're not going to use it enough, get rid of it. I think it's okay to rent and lease things. I don't care about owning stuff. I know it's like to lose almost everything. And I'll tell you, that's when you find out what the real assets are. You realize it's your family, right? You realize it's the things that matter most. Creating memories and peace of mind today is way more important than possibly creating a memory with something that's just sitting there doing nothing. So again, if you use it, if you have that boat or whatever, I don't say sell off that boat. If you're using it like crazy, keep it. Keep that boat. Use it. Enjoy it. Create memories. I like to invest in memories. I don't think money is just meant to be accumulated and saved to then never be used. It's used to create more memories with the people you love the most. It's used to bless people's lives and improve lives and bless your life too. I mean, it's used to improve people's lives in general. So if you're going to use it, use it. If not, lose it. So so definitely look at ways to do that, to sell off assets that way. You know, and yeah, I could go on forever on this one, but I'll just leave it because there's a lot of good stuff here. Okay, third thing, debt. Let's talk about this. This is one that gets a lot of people really anxious, right? Obviously, you see this couple fighting over debt right now. I'll tell you that debt, the one thing you do not want to do is you do not want to fear debt. Everybody tells you to fear debt and hate it and get angry, right? Get angry about your debt and get out of debt as fast as possible. Those of you that have been in personal development and learned this kind of stuff know that anger and fear do not make you money. In fact, it only takes money out of your pockets. Fear and anger drive away money. They drive away wealth and prosperity, right? So instead of fearing debt, I want you to respect it for what it is. It's neither good nor bad. It depends on how you use it. If you're a spender, it's bad because you're going to blow it, right? If you're a saver, it's bad because you're just so caught up in trying to accumulate money that it only takes money out of your pocket and you freak out. In fact, I've found some savers that call themselves spenders because they'll say, yeah, but Chris, I'm not really a saver because I had to spend to pay my bills. Wait, you paid your bills and that makes you a spender? No, that makes you a human being living on earth. No, that's not a spender. You know, that debt will kill people that are savers. But when you're a steward, when you're a great steward, a wise steward over your resources, you realize you'll only use debt to create more. I think of it like a black box, right? If you were to put, like an ATM, say you have an ATM, you put a dollar bill in, and that dollar bill kicks out $2, how many dollar bills are you going to start sticking in there? How many of you would say, you know what, I can't even put in enough dollar bills. Here, come over here. Hey, bring your dollar bills. Start sticking them in with me. I'll give you $1.25 back if you do. I mean, how many of you, if you knew you could put a dollar bill in and get $2 back out, that you would even borrow it from the person walking behind you, say, hey, give me $1, I'll give you $1.25 back, I'll keep the 75 cents. How many of you would do that right now? Type in the responses and let me know. How many of you would do it? Yeah, well, definitely put in your own, and I would put in more, right? So this is the thing: is that the debt is neither good nor bad. The people that teach you it's bad are those that want you to put more money with them. Here's what's interesting: if debt were so evil, if debt were really that bad, why would banks have so much of it? Do you realize that those of you that a lot of people I talk to, most people I end up working with are usually one person's a saver, spouse, the other person's a spender, right? And the person will say, yeah, but I just hate debt. I can't stand it. I got to be debt free. That's what my leaders taught me. That's what I've always been taught, is to be debt free. And I'm like, that's awesome. By the way, to be debt free means to have more assets, more things that you own than more things that you owe. Do you realize that most of you could sell off all of your assets, sell off your home and everything that you have, and be debt free? Well, if it's that important, why aren't all the people telling you to do that? Why aren't guys like the guy right here that's telling you to, absolutely, Don, we'll catch you later. Those of you that have heard to get debt free as fast as possible, why aren't they telling you to sell off all your assets? Why are they telling you to keep a mortgage, but pay off the mortgage? Why not just sell off the house and go rent? You'd be debt free. You should be happy, right? Or is there much more than that? Banks, they have so much because every dollar you put in savings with them is a debt to them. Do you realize they pay you interest, just like debt? Have you ever had a bank call you up and say, it's like, you know what, Beth, you're awesome. I love you. But you know what? Us as a bank, we really hate being in debt to you. I mean, we love the fact you've done business with us and put money in our savings accounts, but we just hate paying you interest. I mean, do you realize how much interest we'll pay you over your entire life? The compound interest is horrible. We hate it. I can't sleep at night. The partners and the founders, they've kicked me out to those nice leather couches, and we can't even get a good night's sleep. We're just restless, and we feel like we're stuck and we're in bondage, and we want to get on that radio show and yell freedom, and we just can't do it because we have so much debt with all these savings accounts. So therefore, Beth, please take that money back. Take your savings back. We don't want any more debt. We want to be debt free. Thank you. Beth, have you ever heard them say that before? Nope, they never will, right? And that's the point, is that debt can be horrible if used the wrong way. No doubt. I do not encourage that. But I'll tell you, I've seen so many people liberate themselves when they're actually willing to use it in a way that's wise. Banks, most banks, not the ones you hear on the news that know they will get bailed out by the government, but most banks that you probably bank with are the ones that said, no, we know how to use it right. We know how to take your money, use that, and go and make more money with it. That is the key. Imagine if you could take money, even if you took a credit card, you put $10,000 on a credit card, and it cost you, let's say, $300 a month for that $10,000. But you were able to build your business in a way that made you $500 a month. Well, heck, why wouldn't we do that all day long? Heck, if I'm going to make $500 and I'll have to pay $300, I've got $200 I can use to pay it down faster and then keep all $500. Or use that $200 somewhere else to make more money. It's a huge epiphany. And when you start to use it wisely, it's amazing. Again, don't just use it to use it. You've got to be a wise steward. You've got to make sure you use it great. And I've had so many people, ways that we've been able to refinance loans and do things to free up cash flow, and that is key. Oh my goodness. Imagine if your income looks like this, like everybody else in business does, right? If your expenses are like this doesn't feel good. Every time you dip below your expenses, you're in the hole, you're freaking out. Here you start to feel relief, and then you freak out. This is why 15-year mortgages are a bad idea for most people. But you refinance and you free up cash and do things this way, where you do pay off loans that pay a lot of payments, get it down here. Now when you're like this, it feels a lot better, doesn't it? By the way, when you're in a place where you make more than what you spend, you keep those payments low on your loans and your mortgages and whatnot, and you keep those payments lower, here's what happens. You feel more free. And when you feel more free, you relax. And by the way, when you're in business, relax, guess what happens when you go to network with people and meet new people? Do you think they feel that? Do you think they feel more do you think they relax around you and want to buy from you more? Absolutely. You've all been to networking groups, I'm sure, where you've met those people that are desperate for your business, right? They have, I call it business breath or commission breath. You ever smelled that before? They reek from across the room. You want to avoid them. They're the ones that throw business cards at you like crazy, like they're Chinese stars slicing up. You're like, just get away from me. You reek, right? You've met those people, right? You don't want to be those people. Those are the people that believe false things about money, and this is why they're like this. Maybe they're even like this. Maybe they're not ever profitable. You want to get to here. That's the point. So it's not about about being debt free, and it's not about racking up lots of debt. It's about getting it to be more manageable and under control. And I've found more money here than anything. The debts that I pay off are the ones that I get huge returns on. So if I had a $10,000 credit card, I said it was $300 a month, but I also got a $10,000 auto loan that's $600 a month, I'm going to pay off that auto loan every time. Now, I know that sounds like a big sin, but think about this. People all look at the interest rate. The interest rates really don't hit you that hard. Banks teach you that because they want you to pay your money back so they can turn around and loan it faster and make more money off of you. But if you had a $300 a month payment on a $10,000 loan and a $600 a month payment, which one's going to provide the most freedom? Type your response. Which one will make you feel most free? Paying off the $600 a month or paying off the $300 a month? What do you guys think? 300? The car, right? Car every time. Common sense will tell you the car. People, when they buy into emotions, think it's the credit card, they think it's the interest rate, but we don't want that, do we? You know, we don't want the interest rate. But here's the thing. You pay off that $600 car, couldn't you use that to pay off your credit card anyways? Now, you may want to pay off both. And that's true, too. But I'm saying if you have one or the other to pick from, go for the $600 a month. Why? Because when business can do this, when your income can be like this, even if you lose the income, remember we talked about what happens if you lose $1,000 or $2,000 a month? What's going to feel worse? You still have to keep making that $600 a month payment or keep making the $300 a month payment? Obviously, you want to keep making the $300 a month and get rid of that $600 a month, right? Yeah, now it makes more sense, doesn't it? I know it's kind of hard because I'm not throwing out numbers with visuals, but now you're starting to see it now. Common sense would say, and every business owner I've talked to, if they push out all the stuff they've been taught for years out of their mind that banks want them to do, they realize like, no. Common sense would say, get rid of the $600 a month payment, so all I have is $300 a month left. Then I have freedom, because cash flow creates more options. When you have more options, you have more freedom. Then you relax, and then you tend to make more income when you relax. Every time you're desperate for money, you don't make money, right? So this is how the big picture really works together. How many of you got a really big epiphany just right now about debt? How many of you are starting to see debt a little bit differently right now? Good. Awesome. Again, I wish I could go on to this one for hours. In fact, I have a radio show. I even did go on the subject quite a while. But I'll tell you that we'll just stop at that. But this is big. So if you're going to pay off a loan, pay off the one that has the highest payment with the lowest balance. That's the key. Highest payment with the lowest balance. Highest monthly payment, that is, with the lowest balance. Those are the ones I pay off. Taxes. This is a big one. I know I'm running out of time because this thing is going to shut off on me. So I want to make sure I get this out. Taxes are big. Taxes, I'll tell you, there's lots of different things you can do. One is I love to take bizcations. I love bizcations. I love being able to go, like in December of last year, I went back to my home state of Oregon, went through Washington. My mom was up there. I actually went and met some potential clients as well as current clients along the way, just even for a few minutes. Took some of them out to lunch. We went and played. The cool thing is we go and play and do stuff with the families and everything. I run off the whole trip, lodging, food, entertainment, all that stuff. Travel, everything I'm writing off, mileage. Hopefully you're tracking this kind of stuff. By the way, do you know that for me personally, one thing I look at is Disneyland. I love Disneyland, and so do my 5 kids. They're bugging me to go again this year. Well, I can guarantee that I'm going to go with a notebook and start taking notes of all the different ways they create an experience, how they use music to influence your moods, the atmosphere, the way the colors are done, and everything else to create a mood or an atmosphere that wants you to be there. I mean, who's better at creating an experience than Disneyland? So why not study that and see how you can apply that back in your business? How can you create experience for your clients or customers? How can you create something better that way? Could you meet a client or customer there and write off the whole thing? Lots of cool things you do. You can hire your children. 3 of my kids actually got hired to be in a bubble commercial. They got to play in a playground with bubbles for 2 hours and got paid $24, $12 an hour. Guess what? I can start paying my kids at least for marketing stuff. You know, I can hire them to be able to do more than just trash or garbages. They can hand out flyers. They can do all kinds of things for me. They can work at events. You can do all kinds of fun things. Hire your kids. And cool thing is, if you pay them less than $6,000 a year, you'll actually pay no taxes on that money, and it's a write-off in your business. Awesome, right? Ooh, here's a big one too. Probably, how many of you probably have home offices, right? You probably have some home offices. If you have a home office, you can actually look at renting like your home domicile, where you live. Rent out your whole home, your house, right? Rent that out for 1 day a month. You know, and maybe you even do like a little meeting there or whatever it might be, but rent out that day. You know, Marriott, a lot of times you can look them up and do price comparison to see what it costs to do a meeting room there. A lot of times a meeting room at the Marriott could be like $1,250 a year, or sorry, $1,250 a day. So it's $1,250 a day. Well, guess what? Well, if you could do that with your house, say you do the same thing, pay yourself $1,250 for that one day a month. That's 12 days a year. You don't pay any real estate tax because it's not over 14 days. Now you've just written off $15,000, and it's income that you're bringing in that you get zero tax on. So zero tax and a write-off on that money. That one thing for you guys right there, if you're profitable in business and you can make that strategy work for you, will save you between $3,000 and $6,000 this year, depending on your tax bracket. Is that cool or what? How many of you think that's pretty dang cool? So yes, Carly, if you have a team meeting, you could rent out your house. Absolutely. And you just have to do meeting notes and things like that. Here's the key thing. I am not an accountant, and I never want to be one. You do want to talk to your accountant first before just going and doing these things I talk about. These are things that I've seen my clients do or I've done myself, and plenty more. There's way more tax strategies you can do. These are just a few. Having a corporate structure, I'll tell you, I've freed up 75% of my taxes of the tax bill just by having a corporation versus not. So all kinds of amazing things before. And yeah, Sonia, most people haven't heard that before. It's been more new in the last few years, and that's why I send them on to my CPA when those people are my clients. It's like, here, talk to him. He can tell you all the details how to do that, because most accountants don't know how to do it. Ooh, bonus tip here, accountants, by the way, if they tell you to buy IRAs and stuff, you probably don't want to have them as an accountant. You probably want to fire them. If they're telling you to put money in IRAs where there's no tax benefit, it's probably not a good thing. So anyways, great stuff. Income, here's another one too. I love to get into this one more. I know I can't. Here's the key principle that if you really internalize this and ingrain this, making more money is easy. In fact, it changed my whole business when I did this. This is how I retired in 2006, is that dollars follow value. Dollars follow the value that you create for other people. The whole thing of do what you love and the money will follow is a lie. Doing what you love and making money is not true. Do what you love that others love you doing, and then the money can follow. And I say can because, again, if you're not a good steward of your business or of your money, it doesn't matter. Even if people love what you do, money will be easy come, easy go. And so if you do what you love that others love you doing, and then the money can follow. Once I started to ask people and listen what they really wanted, how can I solve problems, serve them, and add value in their lives, it was easy. The reason I retired in 2006 is because I created affiliate partnerships with people. I said, hey, if I refer you business to a client that I know you're a good quality person, you have integrity, if I refer those people to you, will you pay me a kickback? Will you pay me like a thank you check? They said, well, of course I will. Who wouldn't? I said, great, let's set up their relationship. And so I'd refer them people. They would do business. They'd pay me a kickback check. I'd send people over here. I sent to like a diamond company to where people could buy engagement wedding rings, and I get a 5% check back. And I referred businesses for like mortgages and insurances and whatever, and I would actually get kickbacks. And next thing I know, I was making $4,000 or $5,000 a month in a matter of months, all from that. Again, it's about creating value. It was a value add for the business owner, value add for the people I referred to them because they were happy about it, and I also won as well. It was a win-win-win transaction. Huge. Again, this one I could do a whole new webinar on as well. But the key thing is, how do I add more value? How do I get people to buy more? I actually use essential oils as a user. When they showed me that I could get a home physician kit and it had all these oils, I stopped buying individual oils. I started buying the whole kit. Those people made more money because they showed me how to add value. I was like, this is amazing. I need this. And that's how it really works. It's cool. I mean, find different ways to be creative and do that. So I know I need to wrap up. So I want you to really consider like how to do this. Many people will say, Chris, these are awesome things, but I just don't have the time to do this. I've shown you how to do it in a pretty quick amount of time. If you can take 5 minutes or 10 minutes a week and become financially fit and peaceful, isn't that worth it? Don't make it feel like it's a 5-car pileup or a 3-car pileup, right? Some people don't want to feel restricted, and I'm not about living off rice and beans. One of my clients, you might know her, the author of Jackrabbit Factory, Leslie Householder, amazing woman. Actually, talking with her and Trevin next week. Great people, and I'll tell you, like it's great to be able to help those people and get them to hit their goals too. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be what I call a Doritos person. You don't want to be empty calories, right? Are you really committed? Are you really willing to do what it takes to make it work? And so don't be empty calories. I don't like to be an empty calorie trainer or speaker. I like to give you real meat like I've done today. So also, what you need to change, you got to know your numbers. You got to have a different mindset around money. You got to be willing to do what's right and do things differently. Here's the thing: is that if doing the same thing for the last 30 or 40 years hasn't worked for people, well, shouldn't doing the opposite probably work out better? They're all telling you to pay off debt. Well, maybe we shouldn't pay it off the way they're saying. Maybe we do it a little bit differently. Maybe we do business a little bit differently instead of seeming like we're desperate people. And I've had people where we've done that, found $2,300 a month in the first 90 days or whatever. The way I do this is the Wealth Acceleration Group. Wealth Acceleration Group is a group coaching type program. It's online. It's all online resources. You can get that. We have a group Facebook page that you're part of. You can ask questions of me and anybody else in the group. And we're there to help you to do 3 things: how to find and free up cash, how to keep it, and how to make more on top of it. Because it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep and then make on top of it that makes all the difference. And in this, you get 6 months education, there's accountability, you get live monthly calls that I put you on my client calls, so you get different topics. We just did one yesterday about how to create more exchange and how to have money come in faster through the different services and things you offer. Great call that we did yesterday. You get my audio curriculum that all my clients get. They really understand those 3 phases in depth. And as a bonus, we give you a money leak evaluation where one of my consultants will actually go and look at your numbers. So it's not just a group thing where you don't feel like it's just online. You get that one-on-one personal touch. So somebody's looking at saying, hey, do you know you're leaking money here and here? You're probably losing like $5,000, $10,000, maybe $20,000+ a year. We might need to stop that. That's the kind of stuff that's cool or not, huh? So those are the kind of things that we want to do. We want more money and more cash flow a day, give you more peace of mind, get you on the same page as your spouse or partner. How would that be that money becomes a peaceful topic and then a positive topic, not a negative one for spouse or partner? Less stress, better quality of life, and more confidence. Normally this would be $509, but that's great. But for you guys and because of Jen, the relationship I have with her, because she's amazing, I hope you work with her a lot. It's only $27 a month for 6 months. That's like $160 total, and I'm offering that for. So the way to sign up for that is go to moneyripples.com/WAG for Wealth Acceleration Group. Not like wag your dog tail or anything like that, but if you go to moneyripples.com/WAG, start to sign up for that. You'll start to get those resources starting from month 1 and start to get you going on the right path. Finding those money leaks, because there are money leaks. I guarantee you everybody is leaking money. And just imagine how much more peace of mind you can have just by knowing that your money is now under control. And so I would love to have you work. If you're committed, if you're not just a Doritos person where you say, I'm in, but then you do nothing, I don't want that. I like getting people results. I want you to get results. If you don't get results, it's just not worth it, right? I want you to get real results, because I'll tell you, in my life, having more cash flow and more freedom is everything. It's life. It's the kind of life that we should be living. And that's what I say is that cash flow creates real freedom. When you have freedom, because what happens is that cash flow creates more options. When you have more cash on hand, when there's more income coming in than expenses, you know that there's more options. You know that you can do more things. You can make a choice about this or that. Money, for me, financial freedom is this, is that money is no longer the reason that I do or do not do anything. I don't use money as that primary reason that stops me from living life or prevents me to do something or makes me want to do something that I don't want to do. Financial freedom is because it's something that I do regardless of the money. That's true freedom, and that requires you being a wise steward, not being a spender or saver, but in the middle. And learning how to do that really intently and really well creates more options in your life, and when you have more options, that's when you feel real financial freedom. Not having millions of dollars in the bank, that doesn't do it. It's when you know that you have options. That's real freedom. So again, that website's moneyripples.com/WAG. Love to be able to serve you that way in any way I can. And again, I love to connect with you as well. I love to be able to connect with people on Facebook and things like that, so we can create a relationship that really helps you and adds value. And by the way, I want you to share this. This is actually going to be, this is being recorded. I am going to be putting this on most likely Vimeo. I might put on YouTube as well, but it'll be on Vimeo. You guys will get the link so you can review this again and again. If you want to share this with your team members or people that you love and know, please do so. I can't do this without you. I can't fulfill my mission without you. And that's where I need you guys to be able to help move forward so we can all become more and more financially free as time goes on. Guys, thank you for your time. Thank you so much for being patient with technical failures and difficulties. But I'm glad, and hopefully you guys found at least $5,000 from this year. In fact, how many of you think from just 1 or 2 ideas or the ideas you got, you found at least $5,000? How many of you say you did that? Thank you, Angelina. I appreciate that too. Awesome. Good, Beth. Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Awesome. That's great. There you go. So no fluff, but hey, we had fun, didn't we? So hopefully I can keep having more fun with you, and we'll definitely see you around. So again, thank you for your time, and I'm going to go and try to figure out how to post this online for you guys as soon as possible. Sound good? All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. Have a prosperous week, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.